The blog post actually brings up some, like, great proverbs
Oh, yeah.
to illustrate this whole point.
I loved those. There was that one, it was like bending at 5 or 50.
Yeah.
What was it again?
It's a Tamil proverb that says, Ainthil velayathathu ambathil velayuma.
Okay.
And basically it means if you can't bend at 5, you won't bend at 50.
Oh, that's a good one.
And then there's the Chichewa proverb,
Okay.
Amera amboyamba,
Mero Poyamba. Okay.
which means to catch them young.
To catch them young, yeah. It's so true, right? It reminds me of when I was a kid. My grandma was always on me about turning off the lights and not wasting water.
Right.
You know, it seemed like such a small thing at the time, but those habits really did stick with me.
Yeah, those early lessons are powerful.
For sure.
And it's not just about, like, individual habits either.
Right.
This blog post makes a strong case for climate education as, like, a key to building what they call adaptive capacity
Yeah.
and resilience.
Okay, break that down for me.
Sure.
What does that actually look like in
Uh,
practice?
So think of it like this. Let's say there's a community living in a coastal area
Mm-hmm.
that's increasingly vulnerable to flooding.
Okay.
With climate education, they not only understand, like, the science behind rising sea levels,
Okay.
but they'd also learn about things like early warning systems,
Okay.
sustainable building practices,
Gotcha.
disaster preparedness.
So it's not just about understanding the problem. It's
Yeah.
about equipping people with the tools to actually deal with the consequences.
Exactly.
Oh.
It's about empowering people to actually take action and adapt to a changing world.
Got it. Okay, so we've talked about the urgency of this climate crisis.
We've talked about those roadblocks to action, this idea of climate change ethics.
Right.
We've touched on the huge impact that all of this is going to have on younger generations.
Yeah.
And how Italy is taking this, like, really proactive approach with education. But I want to zoom out for a second.
Sure.
Why is climate education so important in the big picture? Like, what does it actually achieve?
That is a great question. And the blog post lays out, I think, some pretty compelling arguments.
Okay.
So first and foremost,
Yeah.
it fosters a deeper understanding of, the interconnectedness between people and the environment. It's not just about the science.
Right.
It's about recognizing that our actions have consequences and that we're all a part of this delicate ecosystem.
It's about moving away from that, like, human-centric
Yeah,
view of the world, right?
totally.
Like, we're not separate from nature, we're part of it.
Exactly. Second, climate education promotes sustainable lifestyles and behaviors from a young age.
It's about giving people the knowledge and the skills
Yeah.
to make environmentally responsible choices, in their everyday lives.
So it's not just knowing the facts, it's
Right.
changing how we live.
Exactly.
Got it.
And third, it really empowers individuals
Right.
to be agents of change. It gives them the confidence, the know-how
Yeah.
to advocate for policies, to innovate, to create solutions in their communities.
So it's about turning that awareness
Right.
into action.
Right.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And finally, the blog post argues that climate education can help bridge the gap between climate policy and action. We have all these international agreements,
Right.
national targets,
Yeah.
but they often feel very distant from people's everyday lives.
Right.
Education can help translate those goals
Okay.
into tangible actions and make them feel more relevant, more achievable.
So it's about taking these, like, big global challenges and making them feel personal
Yeah.
and actionable.
Exactly.
Which leads me to my final question.
Yeah.
What does all this mean for, you, the listener? Like, how can you apply all this to your own life?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's easy to feel overwhelmed by, the scale of this whole climate crisis.
Right.
But I think the key takeaway here is that climate education, it's not just about, kids learning about recycling
Right.
and renewable energy. It's really a fundamental shift
Mm.
in how we think about our, relationship with the planet.
It's like, instead of seeing ourselves as separate from nature, we start to understand that we're all interconnected.
Exactly.
Our actions have, ripple effects, and we have a responsibility to be mindful of that.
Exactly. And that's what's so powerful about, knowledge and awareness.
Right.
When we understand the challenges, the solutions, it sparks that sense of agency and possibility. We're not just passive bystanders. We can be active participants
Totally.
in shaping a better future.
Yeah. That's what I love about these deep dives.
We're not just presenting information, we're exploring these ideas together
Right.
and encouraging critical thinking.
And hopefully inspiring action.
Exactly. So to wrap things up, let's leave our listener with a little something to ponder. If you could design your own climate education program, what would it look like? What are the essential things you'd want future generations to understand?
That is a fantastic question. For me, it would be about going beyond just like the science and the facts.
Right.
As crucial as those are, it would be about fostering a deep sense of connection to the natural world.
Like getting kids outside, experiencing nature firsthand, feeling that awe and wonder.
Absolutely. And also cultivating empathy, not just for other people, but for all living beings. Understanding that we're all sharing this planet.
Right.
Our actions impact one another.
And ultimately instilling a sense of responsibility for, our collective future.
Exactly. It's not about guilt or blame. It's about empowerment.
Okay.
It's about nurturing a generation that's not just informed, but also inspired to act.
I love that. It's not just about head knowledge. It's about heart knowledge.
Yeah.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, keep those brains buzzing and those hearts open.